Whether you need a good pick-me-up or just a good time, add a little magic to your glass with Friday's Margarita Midnight on All Things Pagan Radio. Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble! Margarita Midnight!
Welcome to Margarita Midnight. We are your hosts, the three little witches, the triple goddesses of All Things Pagan Radio. We have Maiden of Delight Raven, Mother of Creation Linda, and the Crone of Wisdom Sorsha.
Today on Margarita Midnight, we are going to talk about Poobahs. Definition of Poobah, you will know by the end of this show. See? It went silently dead. Like we're sitting around the table having a cup of margaritas, and we're talking about them pain in the rear end Poobahs.
Yeah.
I used the word poobah talking to a friend today, and she just thought it was hilarious. There was like 5 lines of ha 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 ha. She's like, poobah! Oh my god!
I'd say my worst run-in with Poobahs was when I joined the certain large group on Facebook, and I got called a fake and a fraud, and kicked out of the group all within 1 hour.
Whoa!
And all I did was ask a question.
And what was your question, if you don't mind me asking?
I believe it was, I mentioned in my intro, I mentioned the coaching that I do.
Yeah.
And they took off on it. Oh, magical, you can't call that magical, blah, 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 blah.
My worst run-in was a Poobah when I was checking out different covens in this area. And I went to, there was a bunch of elders that invited me to go to this circle for education awareness about paganism in the area. Well, before the invitation, I had gone and checked out a coven. And I went in there, and they seemed okay. They did things quite different than I did and stuff, so I didn't say yay or nay or whatever. I'm just, checking out. And I go to this meeting with the elders, and she's there. The head Poobah of the coven was there, and she come in, and they went around the table, and they asked everybody to give their name, and if they were the circle, and etc. So I said, my name is Sorsha, and I'm kind of seeking a group. Not for learning, for interaction, to do stuff with. Well, after the meeting was done, we leave, we go outside. And she walks up in front of me, up to me in front of everybody, and reprimands me out loud. Why didn't you mention my coven? Why didn't you mention me? Why didn't you say you were joining my circle? And I just turned around and looked at her, and I said, well, I hadn't made up my mind yet, but you just made it up for me.
Yeah. Nope.
You can't. Every circle, we have another coven over here, I won't mention any names, and a lot of people know this woman that runs it. It's all her way or no way. She even thinks just to go meet her, you need to bring a bottle of wine and everything else.
I wouldn't last long.
I'd have hit her with the bottle of wine. I'd have drank with her and then bopped her on the head. Say, wake the F up. It's like, you are not the goddess. You are not the god. You are a preacher of a belief. That is it. But you can preach all you want. Doesn't mean everybody's going to follow everything you do. And that's in any church or any temple. They have a way that you respect the temple. But they could go home and practice whatever the way they want.
Yeah.
You had any runs in with Poobahs, Raven?
Yes, I think you know about this one. When I made a post on my Hearth page about how ridiculous it was that a witch would charge like $300 for a class to get to to get a higher level, which I think is stupid anyway, because you shouldn't have to wait for somebody to tell you that you're ready to learn a certain thing.
Agreed.
Agreed.
And someone who does have classes like that, who was a member of my group, felt the need to share my status and use it as a joke.
Ooh.
It's like, I'm sorry, but if you want to fool everybody out of their money, keep me out of it. You know?
Yeah.
Why do they have to charge? I'm not going to name any names. There's another one that's on my list. They're constantly posting pictures of themselves. And after a while, it gets old. Okay?
Yeah. Selfies. It even has a name.
Selfies.
Yeah. And
often with a duck face.
Oh.
They call it a duck face when they're pouting with their mouth.
Yeah.
They might have a way of doing things in a certain way, but they are not the all-knowing.
No.
Because to me, it's an everyday learning thing.
Yes, and it's very personal.
Mm-hmm.
It differs from individual to individual. There's no... One of the key points of paganism and heathenry is there is no dogma.
Yeah.
There is no main holy scripture or anything like that.
Well, I could write one up. You want me to write one up?
Yeah, so why are they trying to turn it into that? If they want that, stay in Christianity or Catholicism, whatever.
We'll be back in a few.
Margarita Midnight!
Greetings! I'd like to tell you about an opportunity to advertise your business on All Things Pagan Radio station. Why advertise on All Things Pagan Radio? The advantage radio advertising offers your business stems from its unique combination of high reach, high targetability, and low cost. Advertising on All Things Pagan Radio can be a very effective means to attract new customers. The radio station format is pagan variety. The cost of All Things Pagan Radio advertising? The radio station's estimated ad rate is $45 per month. Advertising rate is for a business 60-second MP3 audio spot, and your ad airs 3 times a day for 30 days, which is 90 airtime spots. Who creates your business radio ad? Well, you do. All ads are subject to approval. If you cannot create your business 60-second MP3 audio ad, with one phone call, Sorcha and Raven can create the business ad with you. If you have any questions, and for more information, feel free to contact us via email at advertising@allthingspagan.com.
To me, a good circle is a teaching and learning group. We share with each other. It's not there was a show called Wife Swap one time. It's a show where they come in and they swap houses with people. And one of the ladies was a pagan lady. And her home was one, like she was a priestess, and she was the goddess of the home. She did nothing. The Covenanters came in, they cleaned her house, they did everything for her.
Slaves?
Basically, it's the way I saw it. But by the time the show was over, the husband saw the colors that it should be. He broke the ceremonial platter. This ain't going anymore. Because it was all waiting on her. And most of the ones that I've met, the Poobahs, we had a group, a priestess come to our home one time. We wanted to get to know her. And I'm checking out, where I can interact with others. And we invited them over for dinner. And she comes in. When she was done and they left, the first thing my husband said to me was, Who died and left her queen?
Mm-hmm. The one thing about them is that they get pissed off if anyone moves them out of the limelight, out of the center of attention.
Yes.
If someone is more interesting than them for 5 seconds, it's a disaster.
That one I was checking out prior was one that she reprimanded me. And all of a sudden, this rumor's going around, and it was like, are you serious? And they did a binding on me. That was the first time I ever been binded. And I'm going, oh, really? So I said, what are you binding me from?
Nice try.
But it was a poobah. It was, they act like they are the only ones that know the knowledge. And let's get real. The knowledge is everywhere.
Yeah, and they're very keen on keeping it secret.
What's so secret?
There's no such thing anymore. If you can't get it from them, you can get it somewhere else.
I'd rather be out there open to educate others for a better understanding of our beliefs.
Yeah, that's why I've spread information for several years. Finding info shouldn't be hard. It should be easy to find so you can see what suits you best. Yeah,
but you know what, Linda, for me, is I have a large library, and I have read a lot of the books.
Yeah.
I would say probably 85% of them. Some of them I just could not get into. And they're all selling the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is another boring book. And so I'm not learning anything from them. What I do now is, if I find something that works for me, if I walk out in the yard and I'm going to work on something and I see it, I pick it up, I go home and I use it. It's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just what I do. I do my own thing. I don't follow the books. I don't know.
I might pick bits and pieces from what I read, but I mostly read scientific research reports anyway. So just pick bits and pieces and then put it together in a way that works for me.
Yeah, well, I've got, the only book I've used a lot of here, I did use Cunningham's herb book.
Yeah.
To get me familiar with other properties, magical properties for the herbs, to help me learn some of those. And another, it's a magician hand, it's called The Magician's Companion by Whitcomb. That's the other book that I use majority of all my books I've got here.
Yeah. I've researched correspondences and things like that. That's pretty much the only thing I have from modern books.
Correspondences, yeah. You'll learn, once you read a little bit on them, you kind of like grab it.
Yeah.
And some people have a hard time when it's like, when we had our circle, there was a girl that could never grasp what we meant by correspondences. They have a hard time understanding that end of it.
Yeah.
And so, I just, when they come to me for class, I don't teach them what I do. I teach them to find what they need to do for them.
How to do it on their own.
Yeah. Because when I first went on the internet back in the early 90s, there was not much out there anyways, but there was a lot of questions. And people would email me, especially for free readings.
Yeah.
Now it's like 24/7 doing that. And then I got so burnt out, then I just said, I did put a price on my readings because that was to clean out
tire kickers. Yeah.
And I talk to them until the reading's over. Sometimes an hour, sometimes a little longer. And that's what I charge for readings.
Yeah, I charge for the reading, not for time.
Yeah.
But that's also one thing I've seen with some poobahs, is that you shouldn't be charging for magical services. That's bad.
I've heard that too. Well, let me tell you, when your phone is ringing off the hook, listeners, 24/7, oh, can you do me a reading? I have a boyfriend problem. You will say, wait a minute, $25, you just woke my ass up.
Yeah, same as if they keep calling you and want them to be their therapist.
Yeah,
coach.
Yeah. You get a lot of that.
I used to.
Most of them are about boyfriends. Like, oh, will he love me? Well, heck, I don't know. Ask him.
Or, when will I find one?
Yeah, well, if you keep looking, you ain't going to find him.
Yeah.
You got to let him come. Just let it go.
Relax.
Yeah. Because you end up being overbearing and too much, and it's just... I'm not saying I'm perfect. I can tell all the listeners I'm far from perfect.
Yeah,
but
perfect is an illusion anyway.
Yeah, but I am not a poobah.
Yeah, me neither.
And I understand there is a teaching aspect to it. But it's not to say, it's like when you go to a gathering, you have their altar set up a certain way. We all understand that and respect that.
Yeah.
Okay? But I've been into a poobah circle, and everything, the poobah does everything. The poobah does the connections with the gods. She calls the elements. She cleanses the circle. She does everything because she feels no one else can do it.
Yeah.
When we have a circle, everybody takes a job. One might call the one element. One might call another element. One might cleanse the circle. One might call the deities. We share it with everyone.
Yeah, that's the same way they do it in our group as well. The one who's been leading the group, she's very much about, she wants everyone involved. You
learn more. You learn quicker. And you get the, what's the word? Dang it. You get more of the understanding because you're doing it. Mm. When you're just standing there watching, and you don't have a clue because everybody does some things a little different, and you're sitting there watching, if you can't get nothing out of the ritual, there was no sense of being there.
And it gets boring.
Yes. Well, I was sitting there at one time, it was at the same one of the ones I was checking out, and they said, well, I said something, and they go, well, sit in a chair here. And I'm going, okay, what are you going to do? You'll see. I'm a little bit leery here, wondering what the heck's going to happen. Then all of a sudden, they kind of circle around me, and they're circling really fast around the chair, and they're popping their head in, popping their head out, and they're saying some stuff, and I'm going, oh, Lord, to take me now. I didn't know what the heck was going on. You know, and I'm thinking I'm at some kind of freak show.
Yeah.
You know, if they would have sat down and said to me it was whatever they were trying to do and explain it to me, then maybe I would have understood it. But they just sat me down in a chair and started circling my chair, and I'm thinking, and it was fast. They're just going around and around and around and bobbing their head in, bobbing their head out. And I'm thinking, okay, this is new.
Sounds like a brainwashing session, really. Some kind of sect.
Oh, well, if it had sex in it, it might have been different.
Sect.
Oh, I thought you said sex.
Cult.
Oh, well, there's where my mind's at. No, but it does kind of sound like that. I remember talking with a Poobah in the car one time, and I asked her, because I'd heard of the Besom. There's a chant. It's called Besom chant. It's really nice. And it's a great way to chant to use for your circle when you're cleansing. And I wanted to get a hold of it, because I've heard it, but I didn't know all the words. And she tells me, well, you can't have that till your 3rd degree. And I'm going, what? I have to wait 3 years for this? And so I said to I come home and I'm complaining, going, dang, I wanted to get that poem and they won't give it to me. I have to wait 3 years. And my son goes, hold on a minute, Mom. And
Google.
He went on the internet and he found it for me.
Yeah.
So much for secrets.
Yes.
But the Poobahs are,
There's no reason to listen to them, really.
Because the only one that can, to me, is a Poobah is the deities I believe in. Them are my Poobahs.
Yeah. I can be bossy, but I can't go around telling people how to handle their own spirituality, because that's their thing, not mine.
And everybody's different.
Yes. And
that's where I go. I tell my friend, I said, religion should have no name. Period. And she goes, what do you mean you should have no name? I said, if it didn't have a name, we wouldn't be fighting over it.
Yeah.
It would just be, what do you believe in? It's my personal belief. Period. We won't be fighting, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a this, I'm a that. You even have that in the pagan community.
Oh, yeah. Some people are very strict about you have to divide people into eclectic, Gardnerian, yeah, all of that.
It's sad.
I think pagan is a nice umbrella term. Why should we have to divide it further?
Right. Well, it's they're always cutting down. They're always going. They're either cutting down the Wiccans, say derogatory stuff about the Wiccans, or they're cutting down the witches, or any type of other Gardnerians, or vice versa. It keeps going on and on. There's so many now.
And then you have those. There are a lot of them that are bashing Christians as well.
Yes. There are a few Christian friends that I know that are mixing their Wiccan beliefs with their Christian beliefs. Yeah. And they're using what works for them. And they are totally, what's the word? When people really dog them bad? It's just, they treat them pretty rotten.
Yeah.
And then the newbies that come in, I always try to warn the newbies, Do a lot of research before you choose anything. And
don't believe everything you read.
That's the truth. It just drives me cuckoo.
Yeah, one thing that drives me nuts too, and it's sort of related to Poobahs, it's that you have to be Wiccan to be a witch.
Wait a minute. Witches were here before Wiccans as far as
and there are witches in every religion on earth. And also witches without a religion.
And it's like for me, I do work with a lord and a lady. I have other gods and goddesses that I work with. But when I'm doing a circle, it's with my lord and a lady. And so people go, you're Wiccan. Well, I might have a little bit of it in me. But everything else I do is not what they so-called Wiccan.
And I would say the Lord and the Lady predates Wicca.
Yes.
So.
Because even in that movie Mist of Avalon, they talk to the Lord and Lady.
Yeah. And Wicca is, after all, a modern construct.
What are we supposed to do? Go, my gods with a plural, my goddesses. I mean, what's wrong with using the term Lord and Lady? Also, it doesn't stereotype it to Wiccan.
No. It could be anyone.
When Raven and we worked on the Pagan Coming Out video this year's. We had posted it on the All Things Pagan. Or no, we did a regular page for the Pagan Coming Out. And we had argument. There was some derogatory remarks made that the video did not relate to paganism. It seemed to only relate to Wiccans because of a poem that I had wrote, and I put it in the end.
Excuse me, Wicca is paganism?
Yeah. That's what we try to tell these people. Raven and I were just like, I said, you know what? There's no dealing with Poobahs.
No.
They stand on their pedestal, and their way is the only way. And then they have witch wars. It's like, first we've come a long way. Well, we're not being burnt at the stake. So now we're not letting anybody else burn us at the stake, but we're willing to burn each other at the stake.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense to me.
Very.
Doesn't it? I don't.
It's
why?
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. And that's why when I have classes, I'm not doing them right now because I've got too many projects burning, but I don't want to tell people how to do their thing. And maybe they're going to say, well, you're telling them how to do it now by complaining about Poobahs. Well, if Poobah is your choice and that's the only person that you think can talk to the Almighty up above, then you go for it. Because I don't need a third party for me to talk to my gods and goddesses.
No. And I want to do it my way.
Thank you. I want to talk to them myself.
Mm.
So they're going to say back. Oh, they said this.
Mm-hmm.
No, if they could connect, believe it, I think I could connect, and I have.
Yeah.
And I understand the priest and priestess within the religion. I am ordained priestess, but I'm not your average priestess. I even have a hard time taking the title.
Yeah, I don't take any such title myself, besides which. But it's, to me, a priest or a priestess is more like it's the role
of a counselor.
Yeah, or a counselor, or it's a
spiritual
role appointed to the person who's leading the ceremony at that time.
Thank you. But we're also supposed to be there for spiritual guidance.
Yeah.
Not spiritual direction. My way is the only way.
Mhm.
That's the big difference.
Yeah.
It's
support the community.
Yes. And you're supposed to be working to help people on their spiritual journey, not tell them how to take it.
Yeah.
So
help them find their own way.
Mm-hmm. Find their own gods they want to believe in, their own way they want to do circles, if they do them at all.
Mm.
You know, and they're saying, like, you're not a witch if you weren't, I've heard POOBAH tell me, you're not a true witch unless you were born this way. And that song comes in there with Lady Gaga, I'm born this way. Yeah.
Yeah. I've also heard them say you're not a witch if you're not celebrating all the Sabbaths and if you're not doing a circle. I don't celebrate Sabbaths. I don't do circles. But I'm still a witch.
Yeah. And I do. I don't celebrate them all the time. You know, there'll be some Sabbaths I go, oh gosh, that just passed me.
Yeah. We live in a modern society. We have other demands on our time. There is also this about it has to be on that date at that time.
Oh, that really kills me.
I celebrate Yule 3 times. I do the solstice, I do Christmas Eve with my family, and I do January 12th, which is the end of the heathen. So,
I celebrate twice, too. You could say that. Mm-hmm. And we celebrate on the first day of winter, winter solstice. And then we also celebrate on the Christian Christmas because majority of my family follow it.
Yeah.
And which actually works out better for me because when we celebrate on the 21st, all my family comes here. And then on the 25th, they all have their own, these are my children I'm talking about. Yeah. They all have their own family gathering at home on Christmas, the ones that follow Christmas. Mm. So, and I've always had to do, you know, I don't celebrate Easter, but I celebrate spring, and I celebrate summer. I work around the harvest.
Yeah.
Sabbath that I don't celebrate, but I do put something up on All Things Pagan to try to connect to everybody.
Yeah, that's why I sent out the Have a Wonderful Autumnal Equinox. I don't celebrate it myself, but there are a lot of people I know who do.
I'll celebrate first day of spring, first day of summer, first day of fall, first day of winter. I'm content with that.
Yeah, I go by the weather. I don't do first day of spring in March. We have 4 feet of snow.
Oh. Yeah. That kind of puts a little cold on it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I just celebrated the first time you see your spring budding up.
Yeah, here you can really feel the change. From winter to spring, you feel it from one day to the next. There's just something in the air and the snow starts melting like crazy. Then you know it's spring.
And all these little buds start coming up.
Mm.
I love that time of year. I love fall too.
Yeah, right now, spring is sort of my favorite.
Well, between spring and fall, because I love it when my herbs come back up and see what I've got to replant this year, but fall has always been my favorite. I love the colors.
Yeah. So I'm not a fan of the POOBAH version that you have to do it on a certain date at a certain time. And you also have these extremes that it has to be so and so many days after the full moon.
Oh, yeah, 3 days before and 3 days after, they say.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was reading these books, when I first started way back now, when I first started it was in the 70s, and there wasn't a whole lot of information out there. So you got whatever information you could. But when you're reading on the books you did have, it was still contradicting each other back then.
Yeah.
Because you'll get one person will say, you start in the east. No, you start in the north. Okay. Which is real? Well, I just use what feels good for me.
Yeah.
And so you listeners out there, do what you do. Do it for yourself and your own spiritual needs. Now, you can go to circles and join them, but when the POOBAH acts like she's the queen, run like heck.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because...
And drop some spikes behind you.
Yeah. At least some tacks or something, right?
Yeah. Thumbtacks.
Well, a lot of things, too, they say, oh, you must be wicked and you don't want to harm anybody. Well, I don't live my life thinking about harming people. I try not to because I treat people the way I would want them to treat me.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not a Wiccan thing.
No. It's an ethics thing.
And then they tell you, I love it when they go, you're so nice, you're fake. You must be fake. Okay, now I'm fake. First you got to defend yourself, then you're considered fake. It's just like you can't win.
No. With those people you can't. So it's easier just to avoid them.
Yeah.
And there's a saying on the internet that don't feed the trolls. The people that come and give you a bad comment, don't
feed the Poobahs!
Don't feed the Poobahs.
Because the more you feed the Poobahs, the bigger their heads get.
Oh, yeah. There are too many Poobahs in the world.
What can we do? You must be a POOBAH if... You must be a POOBAH if the circle has to start in a certain area or a certain direction every time. Or the altar has to be laid out the same way. Or you must bring wine to her when you meet her. I don't know. I just, as POOBAHs... Yeah, well, you interviewed somebody today on a band. We won't mention any names. Mm-hmm. They were even complaining about POOBAHs.
Yep.
But they didn't call them POOBAHs. That's our...
That's our acronym for them.
Right.
The person was mentioning the Discord being spread by a few people in the pagan community, splitting it up instead of joining it together.
Yeah. See, when we had our circle here, we had it for 5 years. It was a learning. We all learned from each other. And then we wanted to get more interaction in the next community over. And so we were investigating some groups that we could join together.
Yeah.
And we found one. At first, she was awesome. I don't remember her name now, but she seemed like it was going to work out. Well, the day she came to our circle, all of a sudden, she was the biggest POOBAH, and everybody's looking at me going, Sorcerer, do we have to? And I said, no, we don't. And we cut all ties. Because she come in and she started to tell us, well, this is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to do this.
Excuse me, you're a guest.
Well, this is just, making a decision. And she'd already assumed where it's all going to go the way they do it. And I didn't want it all my way. You're supposed to meet in the middle and say, okay, this will work better if we do it like you say. This might work better the way we want to do it.
Yeah.
But there's no compromising. None. And that goes with groups online, too.
Yeah. It does. That's why I'm not a member of very many. And one of the bigger ones is a real disaster. I've heard it from several former members don't go there.
Well, if you don't want to deal with the POOBAH syndrome, join us at All Things Pagan Radio community.
Yes.
We welcome you with open arms.
Allowed.
Right? No POOBAHs allowed.
POOBAH free.
Instead of like smoking free.
Yeah.
It's Poobah free! Oh, I didn't realize that word would go so far. It has.
Yeah. But we have to give him what the acronym actually stands for.
Okay, go ahead.
You go ahead. You made it. I don't even remember a word.
How's the nice way of saying it? A poobah is a person that thinks they know everything and their way is the only way within a wicked or heathen circle. Would you say it would be that? It's a controlling and well, if you walk into a circle and you see a person over the corner with the biggest swollen head, that's a poobah.
Mm-hmm.
And they gotta. I don't blend well with them. I don't mix well with them.
Me neither. I tend to push their buttons.
Well, they act like, first off, no matter who's in my circle, we're all equal. There is no one bigger or better than me, except for the deities above.
Mm.
Everybody in the circle is equal. There's no poobah there saying, I'm better than you. I'm the only one that can speak to the gods.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can draw down the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Raven's back.
Yay!
You hear that little mm-hmm? Go on. But we were doing about Poobahs, as you know. Anything else you want to put in there, Raven?
I picked up on a little bit when I came back in how you were saying that there shouldn't be one person that, like, tells everybody what to do on a path that's supposed to be individual to begin with.
Spiritual path to me is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just my opinion, listeners.
Bitch.
Bitch, yeah.
Yeah.
But there are also male poobahs.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The one that got on my page that was laughing at me because he thinks that secrets can only be revealed with a crap ton of money. It was male. That was a male poobah.
Well, there was this class that I took for a while back. I wanted to check it out. It was $13 a month. What they do, basically, they don't contact you. They don't talk to you. I did it for 2 months, and that was it. And what they did is they sent you an audio and a PDF of the same audio. And you read it every month. And it's once a month. And then I checked, there was one way back. I really liked what she did. But it was basically all about the goddess. And now I worship male and female. I don't worship just the goddess. Okay, there's a lot of women that do just the goddess. And so they were basically into that. But by goodness, her classes were $30 a month, and you had to buy hundreds of books.
Mm.
You know, by the time you're paying for all these books, it's like, dang. And it's a lot of reading and et cetera. But she did interact with people, which made a big difference. But then as I'm doing it, I'm going, why am I paying for this? Because all I did is buy the books they recommend, and I'm reading them. This was like 10, 12 years ago or longer. Probably about 15. And I'm going, dang, I'm buying the books and I'm reading them, and she just asks us questions like about the book. Well, you've already read it. You already know. So why am I paying $30 a month for me to teach myself?
Mm.
You know, if you're going to teach, for me, is you sit down, you teach them. You don't say, well, read this chapter, answer these couple questions, then read this chapter and answer a couple questions. You can teach yourself, do that. You don't have to pay for it.
You're paying them $300 a class to teach yourself.
How to teach yourself.
Teach yourself. Exactly.
I don't feel religion should be bestowed at a price. Any religion.
No.
Now, other things, if you want to learn tarot, that's different. That's not religion.
Yeah, that's a skill.
Right. And if you want to learn sewing, making magical items, that's not a religion.
No.
These are all different.
That's a craft. Well, I wanted to add to that. I don't know if you want to put it on the show, but as well, men can be witches, but they can also be bitches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
You know when somebody...
it doesn't come with a gender stamp.
No. there are male and female Poobahs.
Oh, yeah.
Big time. Hi, honey. Abby just got home from work. I just got me some sugar.
Talking about men can be...
And then he pops in.
Here comes a man.
But, no, there are a lot of male Poobahs, too, but not as many. I have not come across as many males as I have females.
You can say it's the same as how many males have you found gossiping. There's also a smaller percentage of males gossiping than females.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet it's connected somehow.
Gossip is not my forte.
Mm-hmm.
Because gossip is another thing. And Poobahs love gossip. They like to dog members. They will, if you're not doing what they want you to do, you are like the peon at the bottom of the totem pole.
Yeah, they like to keep you small.
Or they'll bind you, or they'll do all kinds of stuff. It's just that if you know Poobah, a Poobah is one who thinks they know everything, and their word is the only word.
Mm.
They're the only ones that can bring down the moon, draw down the moon. They're the only ones that connect to the elements. They're the only ones that know all this. Well, hey, Poobah out there, I know all this, and I'm not a Poobah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have the actual words that you used to make up the acronym?
Do I have the actual words?
Yeah,
P-O-O-B-A-H.
Yeah.
Poobah. I don't know why it came to me, but it's just like, for me, it's like an acronym for like one who thinks she's queen. But it was all they're better. They think they're better. It's just like somebody who has millions of dollars who thinks they're better. They can have millions of dollars, but it does not mean they're a better person. No. It's just like a Poobah. A Poobah might have not a lot of knowledge, just like you, or me, or anyone. But that doesn't mean they're better. They're not. They can connect better to the gods. Come on.
I'd say with that kind of attitude, probably less effective connecting with gods and other entities because there's something in the way.
They don't like snobs any more than we do.
Yeah. I don't do snob good.
Me neither.
Yeah.
No, I'm one that lets my hair down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's,
Wow.
Yeah. Trust me. I've seen them. Yeah, they're all over the place. And I can't change, and I'm not going to be a Poobah, but there also are people who need to be led. And all I want to recommend to them is be careful who's leading you.
Choose wisely.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess that's our evening of Poobahs. We're going to get some feedback from this show.
Yeah, but
wait, let's explain this to everybody. Not all priests and priestess are Poobahs.
True.
Mm-hmm.
We're not labeling a priest or priestess as a Poobah.
No.
It's
a personality, not a title or anything else. It's not what you are, it's who you are. More.
Mm-hmm. Religion is to be enjoyed. Love you guys.
Yeah.
Love you too.
Good night, listeners.
Good night, listeners.
Good night.
Whether you need a good pick-me-up or just a good time, add a little magic to your glass with Friday's Margarita Midnight on All Things Pagan Radio.
Flip the switch and let the cauldron bubble.